coming to you from the beautiful Houmas House Estate and Gardens, and it's just a perfect day here outside, so we figured we'd do some little cooking here outside. So one of the dishes we're going to do is one of the dishes that we sometimes have on the menu, but I just wanted to show you this is a great dish that you could do at home. To me, this is comfort food. We're going to saute a piece of fish, and then we're going to make this crawfish cardinale topping. What is crawfish cardinale? Well, it's really just kind of a fancy crawfish étouffée. We're going to make a crawfish étouffée, but then we're going to add a little more Creole elements to it. We're going to come back, add a little bit of heavy cream, some lemon juice, and some white wine, just to kind of enliven it up a little bit. So the first thing that we're going to do to get started is we're just going to start with fish. Now, I'm going to be cooking some of this red snapper here, but really any fish would absolutely do. With these thin white fishes, what I really like to do is just really keep it real simple. So all I'm going to do is just season this with salt and pepper, and as you'll see, everything that we're using today is we're just using salt and pepper. We're not getting too crazy with anything too spicy or any other seasonings. All those serve a place, but for this, it's all about just the simplicity and using really great ingredients. Really nice piece of fresh fish, and then just having all your fresh crawfish ready to go. So once I got the fish seasoned, I'm just going to come back and dredge it very lightly, just very lightly, and a little bit of flour. The flour's not seasoned. You could definitely put a little salt and pepper in the flour as well, but you don't necessarily have to because it's a very light, thin coat. And what I'm going to do is once I got this, no egg wash or anything like that, we're just going to go right into the skillet and get these pieces sauteing. Now, since the snapper, trout, catfish, drum, any of those fishes are real thin, it's only going to take a few minutes to saute on each side. All we're looking to do is get some good color on each side of the fish. Now we're going to come over to this skillet and make the topping. What I've done is I've started melting some butter already, and I've gotten it nice and brown and caramelized, and I'm just going to add some Trinity to it. Now, if you don't know, but I'm sure all you guys do, Trinity is onion, celery, bell pepper. We're also going to throw some garlic in there as well. And we're just looking to sweat the vegetables. Now, what do I mean when I say sweat? That just means we're looking to just lightly saute the vegetables, just get a little bit of color on them, but just kind of cook them to they're translucent. And then, I don't know about y'all, but whenever I'm at home, everything I do is all on high heat. I'm really looking to get a good crust on the outside of this fish and some good color. And I'm also looking to also kind of really saute these vegetables. But at the end of the day, cooking is really just all about managing your heat. If all of a sudden you were to put your butter into this skillet and you realize that it starts to burn or get dark really quick, you don't need to panic. You just take your skillet and you pull it off the fillet. Let it cool down and come right back onto your skillet and continue cooking. Speaking of the butter that we're using, I just love highlighting some of the ingredients that we use over here at Houmas House. And one of them is, we have a great relationship with a lot of our farmers that we get down at the Baton Rouge Farmers Market. And one of our favorite is Feliciana Creamery. We get our cream, milk, and butter from them. So they're just fantastic local farmers that we love. Anytime we get to use any of their ingredients, we're just happy to do it. Adjust my flame here. And then what we're going to do now that this is sauteing, we're going to, our vegetables are nicely cooked. So we're going to come back, and to add a little thickening to the sauce, we're going to add just a little bit of flour. Now the flour is just meant, I'm not measuring it or anything like that. I'm just adding flour to start to absorb some of that butter that we sauteed the vegetables in the skillet. And the flour is just going to act as a little thickener. This is a very simple, very quick blonde roux that we're making here, and that's going to thicken this sauce. Once we got that incorporated in, we're going to come back and add some white wine to start to make the base of our sauce. Anytime you're cooking, you can get cooking wine at the store. You don't have to use the most expensive wine out there, but I always do suggest that, if use something that you would drink, use something that's of a little bit more quality, and it's just going to affect your food. It's just going to affect that end dish that much better, the better quality ingredients you use. Now, at this point, if we were making crawfish étouffée, we'd come back and add a little bit of stock into our skillet. But since we're making a more Creole version, a little bit richer version, we're going to add a little bit of heavy cream and start to pick that up. And then also another thickening and coloring element is we're going to put a little bit of tomato paste. I'm just looking to incorporate all that in. And what we're doing is, since we are cooking over a high heat, I'm looking for this to come up to a boil because roux only thickens whenever the liquid that you're cooking in it boils. If we didn't boil it, the roux wouldn't activate it and wouldn't thick our sauce here. So you're definitely looking to have it come up to a simmer. Let's come back to our fish. And what we've done, very simply, a little light dusting of flour, and we're just gonna look and flip them. And we're trying to get that nice, good, caramelized color on the outside. But this is really easy, y'all. I mean, the hardest part of this was having someone chop up all the vegetables. Once we're cooking, this whole thing comes together really quickly. What I'm doing is I'm coming back and adding a little bit more wine or a little bit more cream. I'm just adjusting the consistency. I've never been a person that really measures or anything like that. I kind of just cook on feeling. So it's very simple that if it's too thick, I can add a little bit more wine or cream to my dish. And if it's too thin, I can just cook it down a little bit to get that consistency that I'm trying to get. So I'm just adding a little bit more wine, a little bit more cream, and that looks like it's coming together real good. And then now that we're at this point, we're really just looking to add some of this is the base. We're gonna come back, season this with salt and pepper. Again, everything we're using, just salt and pepper. No cayenne, nothing like that. Those definitely have those places, but we can achieve all the flavors we're looking for we're really looking to highlight these fresh ingredients. You know, we're in the middle of crawfish season right now, so this is just like a comfort dish. This is a great spring dish because we're going to be putting some asparagus on the dish. When I think of asparagus, I think of spring, and the same thing with crawfish as well. Once we have this base done, I'm going to come back and I'm going to add some parsley, some green onions. Now, the reason I'm adding this last is I'm not looking to cook this down too much. I want them to keep their nice crunchiness and their nice green vibrance about it. And the same thing about the crawfish that we're going to finish up as well. What I like to do when I do this at home is I'll actually put a little bit of crawfish in at the beginning, and I almost sacrifice that. They kind of cook, I almost cook them down to nothing, but they start to get a lot of that great flavor. And then I come back right at the end and I add the crawfish right at the end. That way we don't overcook the crawfish and they just kind of cook and shrivel up to nothing. So we're just gonna add these beautiful Louisiana crawfish right into the plate, and I think we're working with something here. I'm gonna kill the flame on the fish, and we're looking to come to plate. Again, with these crawfish, I'm really just looking to heat the crawfish up. The crawfish themselves are already cooked, so you don't want to cook it too long or they'll shrivel up. I see it's just a hair thick, so I'm gonna add, again, just another hit of wine just to thin it out to that kind of thick sauce consistency. And I think we're ready to plate this bad boy up. Now, if you were coming to Houmas House at one of our restaurants here on property, you know, we always looking to use as much local ingredients as possible. And then one of the just true blessings as a chef here at Houmas House is using a lot of our local ingredients, and then a lot of our ingredients that we can grow right here in the garden. We have a really fantastic gardening staff that as a chef, you really couldn't ask for much more. We grow a lot of different vegetables. We just went in with a bunch of tomato plants. So in a couple months, we'll have just several different varieties of tomatoes. So we're gonna just try to use as much of those beautiful fresh vegetables as possible. Again, I was speaking earlier, when I think of crawfish, I'll also think of asparagus because they're both ingredients that are just readily available during the spring. So I just love combining those two things together. It's just a perfect seasonal dish. But so we're gonna get some of those nice roasted and sauteed vegetables on the plate. We'll come back with a piece of our sauteed red snapper. And then we're just gonna top it off with some of this crawfish cardinale sauce. And I love to me, this is comfort food, y'all. It's just nice, rich and thick, and it just makes a perfect topping. Now, we're putting this on fish. However, if you were at home, you could serve this over rice. This would make a great pasta. You could throw some fettuccine pasta or some noodles right into here and mix that up, and it would make an absolutely amazing pasta. Or some people serve these over vol au vent or pastry shells as well. All things that are great. Again, when you come to Houmas House, we're always using you'll notice one of our signature things we do at Houmas House is you almost see flower petals on our food and different garnishes like that. And the reason we do that is we're, again, just utilizing all these great ingredients that we have in the garden, and we grow these absolutely amazing edible flowers. And these are edible, and they just add a nice little color, but also you can eat these as well, that they add a different textural element to the dish as well. This is some beautiful thyme flowers that are just, you almost never see this. These are thyme herbs that have started to flower, but you can eat those flowers and they're absolutely delicious, and just gonna add a subtle little seasoning to it, and they're just absolutely beautiful as well. So we're gonna get just a little bit of that on the plate, and then everything we do, we add a little bit of herb oil. That's just gonna add just a little touch of richness to the dish and kind of just bring the whole thing together, and there you go. That's how we do it here. If you come to Houmas House, this is a pan sauteed snapper with some fresh garden vegetables topped with a crawfish cardinale.